what's up everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I am going to be finally giving my final verdict for ASUS's super ultra wide monitor, the XG49VQ, which is a 49-inch super ultra wide monster. And yeah, I'm gonna be talking a little bit about, you know, what my experience with it was, what were the highs and what were the lows, right? So if you're interested in that, then stick around. So take a quick little look at some of my close-up shots from this monitor, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit more about it. So 49 inches super ultra wide with a resolution of 3840 x 1080, 144 Hz, HDR 400, and support for AMD's FreeSync 2. Sadly, no G-Sync. But anyway, pretty decent bang for your buck considering that it only costs around $900. You would have expected this to cost like $2,000 or something like that. But $900, it's not a lot of money considering it is a super ultra wide monitor, right? But there definitely are some pros and cons to consider when, you know, going out there and trying to purchase something like this, right? And it is really hard to, you know if you don't actually see or, you know, try out how your favorite games or, you know, applications work on this super ultra wide monitor. So I'm gonna try and, you know, give you guys some idea here, and what were the, you know, the pros and what were the issues and the negative things, you know, that I ran into. So 3840 x 1080 resolution, I mean, it's pretty amazing in video games, especially in, you know, racing games and in third-person view games, right? But not so much in first-person shooters like Counter-Strike, which is like one of the most popular shooters out there. And what I mean by it is that it kind of like distorts the edges of the screen. It's kind of like wanting to zoom into, you know, objects. So it just, I can't really explain this, but it was like having some you know, magnifying glasses on the edges of the screen, which was really awkward. And I really didn't, you know, fancy playing first-person shooters with this monitor. Now, it might be to do something with, you know, giving too much of a competitive, you know, edge, and, you know, Valve may have, you know, somehow, you know, maybe adjusted the aspect ratio in the game, so you can't really use a super ultra wide proper aspect ratio that actually works like it. So I think that might be the case why it is so distorted. But then again, you know, racing games and third-person shooters, those work really well. And yeah, especially, you know, in driving games, you see, if you play from the cockpit view, you see absolutely everything in the car. And even, you know, if you love to play around, you know, on the outside view, you see so much more content. It's absolutely amazing, you know. And yeah, third-person games like, you know, the Tom Clancy's The Division 2 was absolutely amazing to play on this monitor. I think I had the best experience playing Tom Clancy's The Division 2 on this monitor. Now, the downside is, like, in games that I most play, like action RPG games, or maybe the same, you know, goes for, you know, League of Legends or stuff like that, is that, you know, playing action RPG type of games in Path of Exile, which is my favorite go-to game that I, you know, usually regularly play. I think they have a 21:9 aspect ratio as the maximum. Now I do see the whole 32:9 aspect ratio, right? Now it does fit the entire screen with the game, and you see so much further, right? You see enemies much further away than you would usually do. And I guess that, you know, even in why Counter-Strike is like distorted is this kind of makes it pay to win, right? If you can see enemies much further away and you could, you know, click a skill, you know, much further away on the enemies won't even know that you're there, right? Which is definitely a pay to win situation. So with what happened with Path of Exile, I don't know if it's the same case in like League of Legends or something like that, but in Path of Exile you can't click your mouse on the outer edges of the screen, which is really awkward, and I really hated it because, you know, there's some, you know, a scary situation, I need to shoot out my abilities, right, and my mouse doesn't click, I can't move or anything. So that is really disappointing. Although, I mean, I kind of get it, right? You know, maybe too much of an edge against other players or enemies, right? And the other thing is that definitely when, you know, when playing action RPG type of games, or actually any game, right? I definitely, you know, and working around in desktop, right, on Adobe Premiere, and maybe, you know, watching a video on the next side, right? I definitely felt the lack of vertical height, you know, that's the biggest downside for me. Why I actually don't use ultra wides or super ultra wides as my main monitor to this day is that it lacks too much vertical height for me. So hopefully they make something better, because, you know, vertical height is, I mean, it's 1080p. It's a 1080p monitor. And yeah, even sitting close to the monitor, right, you know, doing your work, right, you can definitely see some pixel action going on. You can see pixels there. So that's kind of the biggest downside for me on ultra wides and super ultra wides. But if this isn't a concern for you, I mean, you could actually pretty much forget what I said, right? But other than that, I mean, yeah, quickly coming to HDR 400, right? HDR 400 is the pure minimum to have a HDR rating, right? It's here, it's nothing too special, but you definitely feel the difference, you know, enabling or disabling HDR. But it is really nice to see that they have at least some sort of HDR on this monitor, and you can get the benefits of it. And of course it does have AMD's FreeSync too, so if you're using AMD's brand new video cards or something like that, then you can use that as well to, you know, help with screen tearing, right? And of course 144 Hz, I mean, that's like the gold standard nowadays, right, for gamers and for, you know, even, you know, everyday work, right? I guess the minimum nowadays should be 120 Hz. So 144 Hz, really great to see here, and that's what I really love about this monitor here. Now, coming to some other features as well, like the design and stuff like that. I mean, looks really good with the bezel-less edges, right? I mean, it still, you know, shows some of the edges, right? It's not completely bezel-less, right? But the screen goes from side to side. Just the LCD still, you know, tends to show those little black parts. Maybe sometime in the future we could actually see a whole screen from edge to edge, which would be really nice. And there's a small bezel, you know, on the bottom of the screen, which isn't really nothing, right? But yeah, there's a nice little joystick style button underneath the monitor to control the menu, right? There's a ton of features and ton of options to go through and, you know, adjust the monitor to your liking. And you could also, you know, save presets and load presets there, which is really nice. And yeah, coming quickly to some of the ports as well. There's one display port, there's two HDMI 2.0 ports, there's a 3.5mm headphone jack, and two USB 3.0 ports. And yeah, there's some 5-watt speakers as well. And I guess, yeah, the only thing questionable here is why just, you know, one display port? I mean, it's so super ultra wide and there's just two HDMIs and one display port. Really? Maybe they, you know, kept the costs down a little bit, so it could be under $1,000, right? But anyway, yeah, those are the features, and this is what I think about this monitor. And yeah, overall, I mean, a pretty decent monitor, although, you know, working around with it, I do feel the lack of height, right? Some verticality for the monitor, so 1080 vertical resolution is a little bit too small for me at least. So I mean, yeah, I could actually do some really great editing work, you know, on one side, and on the other side watch a Twitch stream and stuff like that, or do whatever, right? Something similar, right? But I still felt that it was just the 1080p resolution here is just a little bit too small. So maybe they could, you know, make it a little bit bigger in the future. But anyway, that's gonna be it for my review here. Overall, I'm gonna give the ASUS XG49VQ a proper 9 out of 10, just because the price is really good actually, considering it is one of the very few super ultra wide monitors out there in the world. It has 144 Hz, HDR, you know, FreeSync 2, you know, it has everything that you want, you know. Just the downside might be, you know, that it's, you know, vertically it's not the highest of the monitors. 1080p is not the best resolution for a monitor like this, in my opinion. And also one thing I almost forgot, it doesn't have any RGB stuff. Now, I mean, yeah, many people don't, you know, care anything about RGB, but if you look at the ASUS's 4K 144 Hz monitor, which had an amazing array of, you know, colorful features that, you know, really popped out in the night, and you could shoot a, you know, like a Batman beam onto your ceiling, which was just absolutely amazing. And it's missing here. Maybe that costs too much to add to this monitor, but maybe not, I don't know. Anyway, this feature is totally absent here. And yeah, a little bit sad. I'm a little bit sad not seeing this here. But anyway, that's gonna be it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you in the next video. If you have any comments, leave them down below in the comment section. And if you like the video, leave a like and subscribe. So, see you later guys. Ciao for now.